All right. We are looking at direct and inverse variation problems, equations, problems, finding the constant of variation, the missing values. We're going to get into some word problems. We'll get into some things where we can look at a graph and kind of identify what happens when x increases and so on and so forth. Okay, so before we do anything, we have to understand what's actually happening. So direct and inverse variation problem. So there's a specific equation to use for each type of variation. We have what we call direct variation. Okay, and what direct variation actually is the equation is going to look like this: y equals kx. So y equals kx, that actually kind of looks like y equals mx plus b, just without the b. So this equation, if we were to graph it, it would always cross through the origin, okay, whether it be going up or down, depending upon the constant of variation. So k is what we call the constant of variation. You can think of it as your slope, right? Like the m value in your y equals mx plus b, that's basically what it is. Direct variation is equal to y equals kx, okay? So that's direct variation. Now, we have another one, it's called indirect variation. Indirect, or it's called inverse variation. Okay, they both mean the same thing. Indirect or inverse mean the same exact thing. And this particular equation is y equals k over x. Y equals k over x. So this one, equation up here, looks as though it's a line. Okay? This particular equation here is going to look like that. Okay? It's going to start really, really high and then come down and get really, really, really low. We'll use that here in the next video or so. Now, what I want to do for questions 1, 2, 3, and 4 is I want to use these equations, y equals k over x, and then y equals kx, to identify the k, which is the constant, right? I want to write the equation, and then I want to find the missing value. So if y varies directly with x, so my equation is going to start off like this, y equals kx. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the numbers. If y is equal to 24, and x is equal to 6, and I'm going to solve for k, which is dividing, k is equal to 4. So k equals 4. That was easy. Now your equation, this is where it gets a little tricky because we're going to want to do different things. Your equation is the direct or inverse variation equation that is only substituted in for the variable k. So our equation, we said, was y equals kx. The 4 is k. So when I rewrite this, this is actually y equals 4x. So my slope, or my constant of variation, is 4. Now I'm going to find the missing value. So using the equation that I just wrote, I'm going to plug in, substitute in the -9 into x to find out the missing value of y. So it's 4 times -9, which gives me -36. And that is how you do a direct variation equation. And the k value, and the missing value. That's how you do all that stuff. So now I have an inversely equation. So start with the equation y equals k over x. I'm going to plug in what I'm given to find my constant. So it's 25 equals k over 2. And remember, this is division. So what's the opposite of it? Multiplication. So 50 is equal to k. So k is 50. So now again, my equation is y equals k over x, because that's our generic one. And the only thing that I'm changing is the k value. I'm plugging the 50 in for it. So y equals 50 over x. And then the missing value, I'm going to use the equation I just wrote. So y equals 50 over x. What do I have? Well, I have the -10. So -10 is in for y, is equal to 50 over x. And remember, this is a proportion, so I can use a Hart method, cross multiplication, you know, multiply diagonally and then solve your equation. Or what I can do is, if we remember it's a proportion, diagonals, I can switch the values. So it's really x equals to 50 over negative 10, which is then negative 5. So numbers 3 and 4, I want you guys to work on those. Pause the video at this moment, and I'll make sure it actually gets paused as well. And then go ahead and write your answers down, and I will write the answers down as well. All right, answers, here we go. I'm not going to do much work because you can do all the work, but your k value for number 3 is going to be negative 48, because it's really 8 times negative 6, okay? Your equation is then using the inverse equation, plugging in the negative 48 and dividing it by x. And then your missing value is going to be negative 4, because negative 48 divided by 12 is negative 4. Now number 4, this is a direct equation, so therefore I'm actually dividing 12 and 48, so it's 0.25. 0.25. My equation, if you had 1/4, that is also correct, depending upon how you wanted to write it. 1/4 or 2.25 would be okay. My equation now is going to be y equals 0.25x, or y equals 1/4 x. Whichever one you want to write, that is totally fine. And then the missing value is, I'm going to be multiplying 0.25 times 3.2, which would be 0.8 or 0.8 or whatever, but you know they're the same values. Okay, so that is the introduction to basically direct and inverse variation. The equations, y equals kx, and then y equals k over x for indirect, and then writing your equation, finding the missing value, and then finding your constant of variation.